Forget 400 par, the BJP is struggling to cross the majority mark, and now it's virtually certain that the BJP on its own will not be in majority. It's hovering somewhere near the 240 mark. In fact, the NDA has also been struggling to cross the 300 mark. I'm Barkhadat. You're with the Mojo Story. Welcome to a very, very dramatic election morning. Usually by around noon time, we have a clear picture of who's winning and who's losing. But the only thing we knew by noon today is that the spirited fight that had been put by the opposition was reflecting in the numbers in a way that it had simply not reflected in the exit polls. Other than Orissa, most exit polls got all of their predictions wrong. Mamata Banerjee defied the polls to hold on to Bengal. In Uttar Pradesh, where the Samajwadi Party and the Congress alliance had been projected to get only between 16 and 17, the India alliance actually surged ahead of the BJP. It's been a big setback for the BJP in the Hindi-speaking heartland area, normally considered to be its natural bastion. There's a lot to unpack. Let me introduce two of the finest political minds on the program today without any delay. Yogendra Yadav is with us. It has to be said before I start my conversation with Yogendra ji that Yogendra Yadav throughout our travels kept making the argument that the BJP would fall below 270, and not many people or not everybody was ready to believe him. He has been proven right, and to that extent, in all the contestations between the different predictions that were made, prophecies that were made, forecasts that were made, he is clearly the winner of that contest. Also joining us is Yashwant Deshmukh. Yashwant Deshmukh, C Voter Survey, did have predictions that haven't fructified in the actual result, and we'll try and understand from him why that was the case, what went happen, what did pollsters get wrong. But let's actually focus on the result right now. As I've said, the Modi's BJP has lost the majority mark. It's hovering somewhere near 240. The seats are going up and down every hour. The counting is still taking place. The NDA has been struggling to cross 300. Yogendra ji, can we actually take a look at the national picture first? Yogendra ji, what is your big takeaway? And again, congratulations, you called it right. What is your big takeaway from the result so far?
Thank you, Barkha. My getting it right or wrong was always a very small matter. I mean, we are small people with our little small egos. But, one thing I've realized doing some forecasting in this country for years, when you get it right, people applaud you and then forget about it in 24 hours. If you get it wrong, people remember it for 24 years. So I've got it right this time. And it's a matter of 24 hours. It's not something very big. These things happen. To my mind, that's not the real story. For me, the real satisfaction is, number one, that the electoral system still works in this country. To be absolutely honest, I had dreadful last 48 hours after the exit polls. Not because I believe the exit polls, I must say. I said, and I went public yesterday saying clearly why I completely disagree with all the exit polls. But my real dread was that something else has been, that some manipulation may have taken place, and that exit polls may have been there to cover it up. It's a very bad accusation, and I apologize for that. I've been proven wrong, and I'm so happy that I'm proven wrong, that EVMs work, that the way people vote is reflected in the outcome. That's a great thing for our country, for our democracy. And the biggest of all, Barkha, is that this country has won. Democracy has won. In Hindi, I would say, Yashwant would understand because he's a Hindi wala like me. Tantra par lok ki vijay is loktantra. The tantra, the system, that sought to emasculate everything in this democracy. What kind of a contest did we see? Where one party has the entire media lined up to be its spokesperson, where one party has 100 times more resources than anyone else, where one party controls the entire machinery, from administrative to police to ED to, unfortunately, even the election commission. And in that kind of a contest, if the ruling party ends up with a figure of 240, there cannot be more humiliating defeat. I said it on your show last time, Barkha, that if BJP gets one seat less than 300, it's a moral defeat. If they get one seat less than 272, it's a political defeat. And if they get one seat less than 250, it's a personal defeat for the Prime Minister. And I think all three have happened today. It's a
So you
very
are,
big day in our country.
so you are saying this is a personal defeat for Modi?
Personal defeat as well. Indeed. Barkha, the simple logic is, suppose BJP was where the exit polls said BJP would be. Who would be credited? Who would we be talking about? What would Yashwant Bhai be speaking about? What would everyone else be speaking about? And not to mention all these anchors of these channels, the notional media. I don't call it national media, it's notional media. The notional media would have been saying Modi, 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 Modi. So the simple logic is the one who would have got the credit is the one who has to take the blame. So clearly, it is Modi's personal defeat because he staked everything on it. And it is indeed a clear political defeat of the BJP, given the circumstances. If the Indian cricket team, which is going for T20 and has a match with the American cricket team, which was born yesterday, and if Indian cricket team in the 19th or the 20th over manages to win the match, would you call it a victory or defeat? So yes, NDA has numbers more than 272, but that is clearly it's a mandate against the NDA, mandate against the BJP, mandate against the Prime Minister.
I'm going to come to Yashwant in just a moment, but I'm very relieved that you did say that your accusation about the electoral process was an unfair one, was a misplaced one. Because the one thing that I said it on Twitter, ki jo bhi jeete, jo bhi hare, somehow I had that faith. I had that faith always in the electoral process. And if the one thing I take away, Yogendra ji, is that the voter of India is irrepressible. Kisi se nahi darti, kisi se nahi darta. And आज मुझे जो लगता है बार बार चुनाव में आई थिंक वंस आई हैड शेयर्ड दिस विद यू कि लोगों ने कहा आक्रोश नहीं अंकुश कि ठीक है हम दिस इज नॉट वी आर नॉट रेजिंग अगेंस्ट द प्राइम मिनिस्टर बट वी डोंट लाइक अनब्राइडल्ड पावर इवन बीजेपी वोटर्स मेड दिस पॉइंट
Yes, Barkha, one clarification. I actually never made that accusation. I have revealed to you my personal apprehension, which I did because, as you know, for 10 years, I have carried out a personal crusade against the EVM conspiracy theories. All my friends are annoyed with me. They said in 2019, Modi won because of EVM. I said, no, people of India voted for him. Let's accept this reality. So I have carried out a personal crusade against EVM conspiracy theories. And I'm so very happy and relieved that this continues to be the case. I must confess, and that's the confession I made. In the last 48 hours, I had this apprehension. Even last night when people spoke to me, I said, no, I don't still believe it, but let the results come. So it was not an accusation. I wouldn't make it. And I'm so happy that it hasn't come about. On the second thing, I really think what you're saying is indeed the story of the election. Opposition parties have done well. They will take credit. They should take credit. But the real credit should go to the public, to ordinary people. They actually fought more than opposition parties. Honestly, opposition parties didn't have the space to do anything. They were worried about whether there would be ED raid tomorrow, whether their accounts will work, whether their chief minister would be taken away, whether their candidate will surrender the ticket tomorrow. In that situation, and then not to speak of the nasty letters from the Election Commission, which incidentally has performed an utterly shameful and disgraceful role in this election. So in the face of all this, opposition parties were very severely constricted. It's the people who came out. And as you said, Ankush, if someone in UP told me something, I may have said it on your show earlier. I asked him, कि मोदी जी 2 पंचवर्षीय कर चुके हैं, अब तीसरी पंचवर्षीय मांग रहे हैं, which is to say tenure, second tenure, third मांग रहे हैं. What do you think? He said, देखिए, जब हम प्रधान बनाते हैं, तो पहली बार वो प्रधान डर के सीधा काम करता है. दूसरी बार उसको प्रधान बना देते हैं, तो वो गोली देना सीख जाता है, 2 नंबर के काम करता है. और तीसरी बार बना देते हैं तो सर पे चढ़ के डंडा चलाता है. This wisdom of the Indian electorate has finally trumped prevailed. And if we are not seeing a result where BJP is down to 100 seats or so, it is simply because of the huge structural advantage that BJP began with, continued to hold on to, and the various limitations that opposition suffered from. But it is clearly a massive political defeat, undoubtedly.
Yashwant, before we come to the political messaging, I should ask you about the exit polls because the opposition was very angry with the exit polls. They said ये बिल्कुल गलत साबित होंगे और गलत साबित हुए. The opposition's own number of 295 for the India Alliance has not come true. But Mamta Banerjee saying we'll win Bengal, that happened. Akhilesh Yadav saying our alliance will do very well in UP. Not just did they do well, they are ahead of the BJP as an alliance, right? What do you think went wrong? Where do you think the exit polls went wrong, including your own?
Well, first of all, let me congratulate Yogenji for getting the national scene right. He put his neck that BJP is not crossing 272, and that is where I say that he is getting it right.
Absolutely.
I'm actually happy if you will see in that way the kind of accusations which were being aimed at us. For me, I mean, Yogenji knows that I am in personally being prosecuted for almost like 30 years. That's another thing. But I'm happy. At least now I am not sponsored by Modi, right? I mean, please, for God's sake, it's not like that. Second thing, where I would like to actually not argue or debate, but I would like to understand Yogenji's point, which he's trying to make. Is there any All India story really? Because I don't see anything beyond. See, Bengal and Maharashtra are the, I have always maintained they are the battleground. Each and every seat will count. And in the last 1.5 years, in fact, I was the only one with our survey saying Maharashtra is a bad deal for BJP. They are getting it all wrong in Maharashtra, So barring Bengal and UP, is there any state which is the same messaging, same conveyance, whatever, from female to downtrodden to scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, whatever equationing that we are going to analyze afterwards in oversimplifying the mandate, Is it anything that has worked outside UP and Bengal? Bengal is continuation of where we left the last assembly election. Our numbers were showing a revival of left on Congress a bit in terms of vote share. About exit polls were mapping about 16%. I think they are crashed down to 10%. Punar mushko bava wahan pe. So basically, Bengal has only repeated what happened in the last assembly election, that all the anti-BJP votes, particularly the minorities, refused to get split. And they went lock, stock and barrel to Didi. Didi was always a strong player. She continued with her march and she managed to hold on, or not only managed, probably increase her tally, just like she did in the assembly elections. The only thing which is like uncracked, unsolved, and problematic is Uttar Pradesh. Problematic in a sense that why did we not capture Uttar Pradesh? Now, capturing, as Yogenji would understand, we did not predict 50% vote share, Yogenji. We predicted 44.4% for BJP, and they are right now at 44.2 for the NDA. So I think if Yogenji would be looking at my data, wo mere peeth pe haath rakh ke molenge, well done. So vote to seat thing is something which is crazy. Now, what did happen that, the vote to share, vote to seat and other things worked in all other states. The states where we predicted BJP lost big time. States where we predicted BJP is making a great headway, new grounds, Odisha, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, we predicted a sweep for NDA. All those things held on. We said that BJP is crossing a threshold in Kerala. It will not convert much, but they might end up winning 1 or 2 seats happening over there. Same thing in case of Tamil Nadu. We said the same thing, that, okay, unlikely to open the account, maybe 1 seat. They are just leading on 1 seat, not BJP, but basically their alliance partner, not beyond that. So if you look into the All India picture, state by state, consider this as a 30 examination papers. I'm talking about myself, Yogenji. I will say, you will say, you will check it out and don't go on the seat share. Go by your gold standard, what you always kind of maintain, that it's the vote share. I have scored 100% votes, 100% results, 100% score in 26 out of the 30 territories, universes that we were analyzing.
Let me pick
partially wrong.
Yeah.
And
sorry.
2, I got it completely wrong. And one of them I was expecting, I may or may not get it wrong. That is your West Bengal, because it is touch and go. I said that I just unable to decode it. UP is something which we have to analyze. And UP alone has to be analyzed in a different perspective, because in the vote share, BJP has got the vote share what we have predicted, but seat share has not got into that direction.
Okay,
So
there will be Yeah.
kind of a anti-BJP vote polarization for SP Congress that has helped Mamata Banerjee in West Bengal, that has helped Akhilesh and Congress in Uttar Pradesh.
Le-
BSP's vote share has not touched. We were expecting them to touch about 14%. They have polled only about 10%. So
Correct.
their 4% drop is there. That kind of opens up the window to analyze that probably this is a further bipolarization of the Uttar Pradesh mandate, where,
Yeah. Yeah.
probably I have to also look into the fact that generally the Dalit votes who do not vote for Samajwadi Party in UP might have voted for the Congress candidate. This is why number of Congress seats
W-
are actually very surprising.
One
Nobody was
thing.
giving Congress more than 3 seats in UP in that way.
Yeah.
But their lead right now
Okay.
in 7, 8, even 9 sometimes, the leads are fluctuating. It only
Let
shows
me.
that in
Huh.
those seats, the Dalits have also shifted to the Congress, and that is something which is interesting. Largely speaking, that's what but I don't see
Yashwant, I'm
any
just.
all
Yeah.
India kind of
And
trend.
that's the last point I want to take to Yogendra ji. The postmortem over
Barka, I
exit
can't
polls.
hear you.
Can you hear me? Yogendra ji, can you hear me? You can hear me.
योगेंद्र जी,
Okay.
आपको आ रही है आवाज?
हाँ, उनको आ रही है. Yogendra, you can hear me, right? Okay. Okay. Now, Yashwant, just we just reconnect
I'm
if
getting
you
yours.
can.
योगेंद्र जी की
Okay.
भी आवाज मुझे नहीं आ रही है.
One second. Just ask Yashwant to reconnect. In the meantime, let me
I hope you
let
can
me.
hear me now, Yashwant Bhai. Can you?
Okay, I can hear you. I could hear him and I can hear you. I'm sure he'll reconnect. Yogendra ji, I'll pick up the last point that, the postmortem of exit polls can be done in detail at some other time because it's a set of valid questions, but there's a lot more to talk about right now. What is going to happen to the nature of politics? What is the larger message from the elections? And I would like to ask you, जो उन्होंने अंत में बोला वो एक वैलिड क्वेश्चन है. वो क्वेश्चन ये है कि पैन इंडिया ट्रेंड नहीं था. So when you say that this is the big personal defeat for Modi, the question he raised was Bengal, Mamta fortified. Uttar Pradesh then is the big story, and to some degree Rajasthan, where there was expected to be a complete wipeout for the Congress, that didn't happen. Karnataka, that wipeout didn't happen. What for you is the message from the voter? Containment of overarching power I see as one. मैंने आपको शायद ये बोला था कि जब मैं वोटर से बात करती थी इन माय ट्रैवल्स, आई वुड आस्क देम व्हाट दे लाइक्ड, व्हाट दे डिडंट लाइक अबाउट द गवर्नमेंट, एंड दे वुड लिस्ट व्हाट दे लाइक्ड. पर उनके खुद ही वोटर्स कहते थे कि नौकरी, लाइवलीहुड, उनके वोटर्स. और फिर वो कहते थे ये हिंदू मुस्लिम बहुत ज्यादा हो गया, हमें नहीं अच्छा लग रहा. And I wrote this, I said this. What is the pan India message? Is there a pan India message?
But I was surprised when I heard Yashwant Bhai, and I really wanted him to listen to this.
I hope he'll reconnect. Can we please call Yashwant and ask him to
because I
reconnect?
was
Yeah.
very surprised to hear that there is no national story. Here is a national story. It's in front of my eyes on this piece of paper, which is
sorry,
national
Barkha.
story in any
I'm sorry because the data
Yashwant Bhai,
which is
can
coming
you
on the
now
screen is
hear
also
me?
going through our data center. So there was some query on the two others coming in Bihar. That is
Okay.
Communist
Yogendra
Party.
ji,
So
you can hear me now. You can hear me now because
I
Yogendra
can
ji
hear
wanted
you
to.
loud and clear.
Yogendra ji wanted to respond to you. Please, Yogendra ji, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah,
I
absolutely. I
was
would
saying,
like to
Yashwant
hear
Bhai,
that. Yeah.
I was surprised to hear that you don't see any national story. Maybe you haven't had time as yet to look at the vote share figure. What happens in a national story? In a national story, you see a somewhat uniform swing cutting across various states. And that's exactly what has happened. I'm surprised that we haven't noticed it yet. Uttar Pradesh, you're right to say, BJP lost 8% votes. Is that only a Uttar Pradesh story? No. Maharashtra, NDA loses 9% votes. Bengal, BJP loses 3% vote. Bihar, NDA loses 9% vote. Karnataka, 6% loss. Rajasthan, 10% loss. Himachal Pradesh, 14% loss. Uttarakhand, 4% loss. Haryana, 12% loss. Jharkhand, 8% loss. What else is a national story? The simple fact is BJP has lost significant chunk of vote share, cutting across state divide in that entire region from Karnataka and Maharashtra to Bihar and Jharkhand, that entire region. with the exception of Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh. These are the only two places where BJP has had no loss of vote share so far that I have checked. Everywhere else, there is a loss of anything between 4 to 10%. That is the national story. And the national story is that after 10 years of BJP rule, after 10 years of a certain kind of narrative that was fed, people said, enough. Now we want to go back to livelihood issues. In some cases, livelihood issues favor the BJP. It works for them. In most cases, it doesn't work for them. That's clearly what is happening. And please read all this. I would implore you, Yashwant Bhai, please read all this in the context of the money, of the media support, and of the brazen use of election machinery. If in the face of all this, I really hope you would not deny that, the utter shamelessness with which the entire system was used to promote the BJP, if in the context of that, the ruling party, so this is like Putin losing 10% votes in Russia. If in the context of all this, they lose systematically across a whole geography, there is a story, the national story of disenchantment. I would not call it anger yet, national story of ankush, of wanting to limit the ruler, expressing dissatisfaction, expressing disenchantment, not yet anger, because if it was anger, we would have had 1977 kind of result. There clearly is. If there was a national story in 2004, there is a national story this time. Why shy away from this? The other point about exit polls,
No, I'm not shying away. I'm not shying away, Yogendra. You are getting me wrong. I'm not shying away. You see, 70, almost 68%. If you look out our Memotian India Today poll, 68% household saying हमारा घर मुश्किल से चल रहा है, महंगाई की दिक्कत हो रही है. हमने कभी इन डेटा को नहीं रिपोर्ट किया, ऐसा बात नहीं है. We have always said the economic distress is there. But when we asked them the question, who do you think is going to give a better solution to that? They did not name Rahul Gandhi. They named Narendra Modi. And I think where probably I have a disconnect with your argument is that the losses that you are counting is from 2019. The losses that I am counting is from my own estimations. It's like, because we are doing a tracker, we have been reporting, ये तो इनका नुकसान इतना हो रहा है. It's not that कि उनका नुकसान जितना हमने estimate किया तो उससे ज्यादा हो रहा है. Whatever we were estimated, हर जगह पे नुकसान हो रहा है. But then after 10 years of Yogen Bhai, 10 years of being in power, there would be attrition. So if they had polled, say for example, in Himachal 60% plus vote, and they are polling 50% votes plus votes. If they had polled somewhere 65 and they are polling 55, yes, there is a 10% drop from in the 10 years. But the fact remains that they are polling 50% plus votes in so many states, even right now. And again, I hope you will be happy and to know into that detail that we never predicted more than 40. We predicted 48.7% votes for the BJP. And they are right now at 48.65. So as far as the vote share calculations and other things are concerned, we have been maintaining all that. It's not that we have not been showing and we have not been reporting, and the distress we have not been reporting. The only thing which I have been always maintaining is that even after that depression, there is no personal anger against Prime Minister Modi, and opposition is unable to give a viable answer to that in terms of their leadership mandate.
Can I come in? I've heard both of you quite carefully. Yashwant, let me ask you first. When Modi centralizes politics around himself, we've all spoken about the Modi factor, and I partially agree with you and partially agree with Yogendra. The Modi factor has not vanished from large parts of India. Obviously, it is still there. But when Yogendra ji is right, कि अगर ये चुनाव 303 भी होता बीजेपी के लिए, we would have said Modi factor. तो अगर ये 272 से कम है, 240 के आसपास है, isn't that a knock to the Modi factor? Isn't that a blow for the Modi factor? Isn't that a fair question, Yashwant?
I don't know. It's a fair question. But I don't know, because that blow is coming from two concentrated pockets where we are looking at a very significant local factors at play. बरका वी डिड डिस्कस एंड आई सेड इट ऑन शो कि यूपी इसलिए फंसा हुआ है क्योंकि इन्होंने बहुत ही वाहियात टिकट यूपी में बांटे हैं. UP was one state where they refused to chop the tickets
Okay.
of all the non-performing MPs. So
Okay,
my question, I understand Yogenji's point, and I have been telling all this in data. That's another thing. What my simple thing is that maybe we, just like we overanalyzed 2004 that India shining failed, we are kind of overanalyzing right now the 2024 that Modi failed. After 10 years of being in power, and if two concentrated states with things go wrong and his alliance is still getting in power, yes, moral defeat and all that wordplay, that is okay, that is fine, because I agree with Yogenji on that. For that kind of line of analysis, that it could be a moral victory and moral defeat and everything in between. But purely from the numbers perspective, Baka, that is where I am struck. That purely from the number perspective, I don't see an all India story that something has horribly gone wrong for them all across India, or something has weirdly gone good for them.
Okay,
all
I'll let
across India.
I'll let Yogendra ji respond to this. You have said, Yogendra ji, that it is a moral defeat or it's a political defeat for the BJP and a moral defeat, or rather a personal defeat for the Prime Minister, because he made it all about himself. And had the BJP done very well, the credit would have gone to him more than to his party. The question is कि there are, अगर उत्तर प्रदेश किसी और तरफ होता, that is Yashwant's question जो मुझे समझ आ रहा है, अगर उत्तर प्रदेश किसी और तरफ होता, we'd be having a very different discussion. But I agree with you that Uttar Pradesh is actually meant to be the natural bastion of the BJP's politics, with two leaders, not even one, Narendra Modi and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. But when Yashwant Deshmukh says, what is the national story and why is it a national story, what would you say? Yogendra ji? Can we unmute Yogendra ji, please? Yeah, now I can hear you.
I'm a little surprised with the line of argument. To say, अगर उत्तर प्रदेश नहीं होता तो क्या होता? I can also say, अगर उड़ीसा नहीं होता तो अब हम क्या देख रहे होते? Which is a spectacular different thing. Odisha nahi hota, so we would have been talking about the India coalition forming the government tomorrow. So let's not get into this. What is the national story? I think I said it clearly. Yashwant Bhai, I think, is too currently involved in his exit poll. The nation did not vote on C voter. The nation voted on Narendra Modi. And no matter what C voters' forecast was, that is for you to analyze. I'm sure you would have time. You would reflect on what went right and wrong. The nation voted on Narendra Modi and BJP. That's what I'm talking about. Compared to 2019, Mr. Modi's party, BJP was actually secondary. It's Mr. Modi's party, which has systematically lost vote share. It is dramatic and drastic? No. It is serious and systematic? Yes. And I've given you figures. I don't need to repeat it. In that entire geography, the only exception being Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh. Everywhere else, BJP has lost votes compared to 2019. Now, your defense, Yashwant, is that this is the third term. What else do you expect? Expect to go down? Well, if that was the case, why did the exit polls not catch it? Number two, if he was going down and we got it, if you are willing to consider these extenuating circumstances, as it is called, why not also consider the fact that Mr. Modi's party was backed by the entire media of this country, which is unprecedented? Why not consider the fact that he had access to money of a kind which is unknown? Why not consider the fact that Election Commission was so partisan? Why not consider the fact that ED and IT were working in the way they were? And if in this circumstance, with this kind of a lead, with this kind of a stranglehold, if he loses 60 seats, this is clearly a political defeat. What else is it? And why are you getting into the, I mean, I thought I would have this kind of a debate with BJP spokesperson.
No, not at all. No, that's why I am staying clear of the political line. Yogendra, I am only talking on data. You talked about the national picture. I am talking about the national picture on the data, Yogendra. That BJP's vote share has
read out, what, in case you did not read it last time, allow me to read out the numbers once again for you. Uttar Pradesh, this is loss of BJP or NDA vote share across that entire belt compared to 2019, because that's the only comparison which we make.
The, th- the
UP
thing is that you
8%,
are comparing
Maharashtra
only the
9%,
belt
West
where
अच्छा
we
Bengal
lost the vote.
6%, Bihar 9%,
नहीं,
हाँ,
that's fine.
Karnataka
I don't
6%,
want him to read
Rajasthan
out. I can
10%,
read out the
Himachal
states
Pradesh
where BJP has
14%,
gained the votes.
Uttarakhand
okay, okay.
4%, Delhi 4%, Haryana 12%, Jharkhand 8%. If this is not a uniform swing, what else are we talking about? I'm absolutely astonished to hear
So
this, Yashwant bhai.
is now South not part of India, Yogenji, where there is a massive uniform swing in favor of the BJP in so many states? So
Yashwant,
national
that's
vote
why
share
I'm
of
speaking.
BJP compared to last time has gone up. If
Yashwant
we are
bhai, you
talking
did
about
not
the
have the
national
time to
picture,
listen to what I'm saying. Please
अच्छा
listen to me
one at
carefully.
a time, both of you,
Please
please. Okay,
listen to me
Yogendra ji. हाँ,
carefully. In
हाँ.
fact, I had said you probably didn't get the time. I think it might take some time to come out of the exit poll shock. But I had clearly said from Karnataka and Maharashtra till Bihar and Jharkhand. This is the territory I had defined. And this is the territory where BJP had done exceptionally well last time. So my argument was, and as you would recall, we were with Barkha on that show a few days
Yeah,
ago, where I
yeah.
had said BJP is likely to improve its vote share in the entire coastal belt, which is where it has indeed done. So, what is the national
exactly.
story? The national story is that the entire geography, the largest geography of this country, which trusted Modi and BJP almost blindly last time, all over that area, BJP is coming down. In some cases, it leads to loss of seats. In other cases, it's loss of votes, but no loss of seats. In the coastal belt, the BJP, and if you remember, last time also I had said I would exclude Bengal from that because I don't see gains for them in Bengal. I had said that in the show as well. But I had said from Kerala to Odisha, I see gains for BJP. So places where BJP had not saturated, BJP has gained in those areas. And the entire region which was the heartland, the strongest area of BJP, and the base for their political dominance, all those places BJP has systematically lost votes.
Would it
Why
if
are
I
we
can
wasting time on
if
debating such elementary
yeah,
facts?
yeah, yeah, okay, let's look
It's
ahead.
okay.
Can we look ahead, because exit poll
No, no,
data
no, no.
maybe
I mean,
I
me and
huh.
Yogenji, I always end up learning something from him. So I always regard him for that. And certain points we agree to disagree. That's okay. I mean, I'm taking away from the political points. I'm looking only at the numbers. If they are giving me a national story, and he has a different take on it, that's fine. We will explore it further. If he is right,
Okay.
I would accept he is right.
Okay. Let's spend just a couple of few minutes that we have left with both of you to look at politics ahead. Okay, we've spoken about the numbers. You've both given your perspectives. What happens now? Yogendra ji, I'll start with you. It is most likely going to be an NDA government. Most likely, it is going to be an NDA government. I don't know for sure. There could be permutations, combinations, but जो मुझे लग रहा है कि NDA की सरकार होगी. Do you expect the prime minister to be the same? Will Modi remain the prime minister? Or do you expect a churn within the BJP? Do you expect a churn within the alliance? Question one. Coupled with that is, if it is an NDA government, what is the role of the India alliance over the next few years?
But I'm actually particularly bad at forecasting these things. This has never been my forte. Understanding what happens in the power corridors of Delhi, I've been very poor at it. I can't guess it. My own sense is that yes, currently, as I look at the screen, it's 295 seats for NDA. But I do remember the fact that this 295 includes almost 17, 18 seats, possibly for Chandrababu Naidu, and probably 15, 16 seats for Nitish Kumar. And if you look at their record and their relationship with Mr. Modi, you would see why you cannot take it for granted. So I'm not sure. We'll find out by the evening. To me, that's not the most important thing in life. And I kept saying again and again, Kaun banega Pradhan Mantri is not the most important question for me in this election. For me, this election was about the fate of democracy, fate of constitution, fate of the very spirit of India. 2 or 3 things I'm sure of. Number one, no party that comes to power dare touch the constitution in its essentials. Modi or no Modi. Darenge, panga nahi lenge koi aage se, number one. Number two, and incidentally, I should also point out, now that Mr. Taney is trailing, No political party will dare take panga with farmers. There's a farmer story here, which we should see. East Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab, West UP. Just look at the farmer story. No political leader would have the courage, but these are minor things. Most importantly, I see our democratic system, our constitutional democracy being restored somewhat. We have recovered our republic at least by a few degrees. How? I expect media to have some voice. थोड़ा उनके गले में आवाज आ जाएगी. 2-4 साल से बेचारे बोल नहीं पा रहे थे. थोड़ी सी आवाज आएगी. पोस्टर्स में भी थोड़ी ज्यादा आवाज आ जाएगी. ऐसी मेरी उम्मीद आ रही है. But that's very important because the manner in which the entire media had surrendered to the BJP was most disgraceful. Number one. Number two, I expect the judiciary to pick up some strength. I expect judiciary to be able to read a few things on the letter and spirit of the constitution, which they have been oblivious of. I expect the entire system to be slightly more open, to become slightly more democratic. And I expect voices of resistance to become stronger. All this is great news for democracy. That is what I care most for.
I
As
think
for
you
the
had.
role of India politically,
I think you had called it a return to normal politics.
yes, and the return to normal politics is, as I said, democracy is saved not by high principles of liberal democracy, which most people don't understand. Democracy is saved by the quotidian, everyday, petty, normal politics. Return to that politics from that high crescendo, almost a frenzy-like situation in which the country was placed. Return to normal politics is actually great news. Return to normal politics means that anyone would have to perform. You cannot keep distracting people on Ram Mandir one day, Pulwama the other day. You have to perform. And in many cases, BJP perform. And whatever votes BJP still gets is because they have delivered in some cases. Let's admit it. So this is politics of those things, which is again a great news for this country. You have to work and you have to win votes. That's a decent thing. BJP will have to do the same. The idea that you could say, Mangal Sutra, Mutton, Musalman, and you can weigh the whole country around. That does not work. And what a good news it is for this country. Otherwise, what kind of a gutter we were coming into in this country. I must register the fact that the Election Commission of India has played the gentlemen who occupy the seats in the Election Commission of India have played an utterly disgraceful role in this election. I do hope that now they either quietly resign or they start behaving themselves.
They would, in fact, say that what has happened today proves that they have run a completely fair system. They would make the opposite argument.
It shows that the system works despite them. There is Form 17C, and when the entire controversy was going on, I said, मुझे इलेक्शन कमीशन की नियत पे भरोसा नहीं है, लेकिन मुझे चुनाव के नियम पे भरोसा है, Form 17C पे भरोसा है. So if we are there, it's not because of these three gentlemen, but it is because of Form 17C. And about electronic voting machine, yes. Should we say thank you very much, sir? You have not manipulated the electoral voting machine. Should we be thanking the election commission, or should we be asking them questions about? You were the ones who were meant to implement the model code of conduct. What did you do about it? What was your role when the Prime Minister of India was going around saying things which are not only violative of model code of conduct, which are utterly illegal, and by the Supreme Court orders, these are things that you should be prosecuted about. What was what was the Election Commission doing? And writing those letters to Mallikarjun Kharge and Jairam Ramesh. I mean, who in the world are you to write letters to political parties to say, reply by 7 o'clock, otherwise we'll take action? Who are you to take action? Do you have a power of prosecuting people on contempt? Are you the Supreme Court of India? I hope all this nonsense will come to an end now.
Yashwant, let me bring you in. Yogendra ji has been arguing in fairness to him through the campaign that he senses a return to normal politics. I have been reporting in all my travels that I saw no takers for the Hindu-Muslim divisiveness that we saw in Modi's speech. BJP's own voters said, "Bas karo yaar, bas karo, kam karo, khatam karo, ye nahi sunna hame." And I'm talking about BJP voters, not Modi critics, right, Yashwant?
Right.
What is the big takeaway from?
Absolutely.
What is the big takeaway for you? What is the takeaway from?
Two things. two things. That first of all, I just hope that the attack on the ECI as an institution stops. I just hope the question marks are once and for all not put on the EVMs. I just hope that they are given their due as well. Because I listened to what Yogendra said, but I believe that institution is much bigger than the individuals. ECI उस समय इलेक्शन भारत की जनता तब भी वोट दे के आके अपनी बात बोल गई थी जिस समय नवीन चावला भी अंदर थे. तो अगर नवीन चावला उसका कुछ नहीं बिगाड़ पाए और लोग नहीं बिगाड़ पाए तो आगे भी कोई और कुछ नहीं बिगाड़ पाएगा. So let's leave it at that election commission and the election system of India has worked. I think that is the biggest story out here, and let's give them the due. The way they have.
Let me ask. Yeah, sorry, you're saying something, Yashwant? Complete your point. Sorry. Yeah.
Second thing, I still believe that there is no national story in that, because somebody winning an election in a state with 65% and this time polling 55%, which we have been reporting all along. I still have to find a one uniform thing. But one thing which I do agree with Yogendra here is that politics will become normal, because it was a one-sided, two-aberration politics. But Yogendra, we have to also think that kind of politics is one-sided in almost all the states as well. It's one-sided in Bengal as well, one-sided in Tamil Nadu as well, one-sided in Delhi as well. So I think the normalcy or abnormal politics was not just national, it was a state politics also abnormal in that sort. So I'm happy when I agree with you that normalcy will return, because in a healthy democracy, we do need a very, very good opposition to keep the government on the tenterhooks.
So this was going to be my last. Yeah, this was going to be my last question to both of you. So let me ask Yashwant, and then Yogendra, you can have the closing word. How will politics change? Right? How will politics? देखिए, forget कौन बनेगा, किसकी सरकार, कौन बनेगा प्रधानमंत्री. Something will shift. Very interesting things have already shifted. The divide in the Dalit vote, right? The Samajwadi Party going beyond its traditional strongholds. The localization in many places, the successful localization of a national election. How do you see politics shifting? Let's talk about politics, Yashwant, and then I'll give Yogendra ji the closing word. Yeah.
Two things very quickly, Barkha. One thing which I feel politics is shifting towards the delivery of the governance and Labharti, be it state, be it national. At this point of time, all the politicians have learned that trick and art of putting across a scheme. But the thing is, they have to deliver on that as well. So whomsoever is delivering is winning the state and the national mandate. That's one thing that is gonna grow up. The biggest silver lining is the rejection of the politics of polarization. That's for me, it's a big thing. And because in the numbers also people have been saying ये बहुत ज़्यादा हिंदू मुसलमान हो रहा है. So I hope from here those who are on the right of the spectrum, they will take a cue कि ये एक सीमा तक चलता है, इससे ज़्यादा लोग इसको बर्दाश्त नहीं करते हैं. I hope that politics of normalcy also returns on that. Number one. Number two, ये किसकी डिफीट किसका वो ये एक अलग बात है, लेकिन एक चीज तो तय है कि हमने ये देखा था कि एजेंसीज का मिसयूज हो रहा है. पब्लिक बहुत तादाद में कह रही थी कि एजेंसीज का मिसयूज हो रहा है. इट वाज अ क्वेश्चन in our India Today MOTN every time, and overwhelming majority said that the agencies का misuse हो रहा है. I feel that now that the BJP does not have a majority of its own, that misuse apparently might stop. Hopefully it will stop, because that certainly is a wrong thing to do, and it's a wrong practice in any democracy.
Okay, Yogendra, I'm going to give you the closing word. Please go ahead.
Very happy to hear that Yashwant actually feels that misuse of agencies is a bad thing, because I was beginning to worry that it was becoming me versus the BJP spokesperson thing. But I'm very happy that it ends on a lovely note.
That's under the belt, Yogendra. That's under the belt. I'm not expecting. Yogendra, you have joined politics. I have not joined politics. No, please don't do that. I respect you for what you are. You have been my senior. But let's not do. No, I'm not a politician, Yogendra. You don't have to. No. मैं पॉलिटिशियन नहीं हूँ, योगेंद्र, मुझे पॉलिटिशियन की तरह मत ट्रीट कीजिए प्लीज. आप पॉलिटिक्स में गए, मुझे उससे बाहर रखिए प्लीज.
Fair enough. चलिए योगेंद्र जी बोलिए.
Almost not seen that. I'm very happy to discover that. Because as I said, like people like me have declared that I'm a political worker. These are my leanings, and this is, you take me seriously or not. That's for you to decide. I really hope that pollsters start doing the same. But just to end on a lighter note, why get into this bitterness? I traveled to Uttar Pradesh, and I wrote a tweet after traveling to Uttar Pradesh कि उत्तर प्रदेश में इस बार भूचाल आने वाला है. I said it on the, I think 16th of April or so. I had said Uttar Pradesh में भूचाल आने वाला है. And my tweet had lovely reactions, one of which was from Yashwant Deshmukh. I'm not reading my tweet, that's useless. Yashwant Bhai's reaction is lovely. He said, अभी तो 50 सीट पर भाजपा को अकेले दम खुद रोक रखा है योगेंद्र जी ने.
Yes, I did that.
जी घसीट कर 40 तक ला रहे हैं.
हाँ.
दिग्विजय जी 30 पर लाके पटकेंगे, फिर मणिशंकर जी भाजपा का 20 तक कचूमर बना देंगे. 5 सीट का स्कोप अधीर बाबू के लिए. I love that humor.
Exactly.
Let's continue in that spirit of humor. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we will end. We will end on, I hope, a somewhat more convivial note than we began on. Both of you have placed your points. We both like to listen to both of you, learn from both of you. One sentence each to both of you. If you were the Prime Minister today, just before I say goodbye, Yashwant, if you were Prime Minister Modi today, what would you be thinking you should do next?
If I was the Prime Minister today, if you are talking an individualistic question, Barkha, that is what me as an individual would be thinking.
Yeah,
I would have probably hang up my boots.
That's very important. You're saying if you were the Prime Minister, you would not go for a third term with these.
It's for me, and as I'm not,
you Yashwant, you Yashwant. I know. You're not making a predictive or a prescriptive comment. You're saying
I'm not judging anybody what they would do. I'm saying
अगर आप मोदी जी की जगह में होते, आप Yashwant, you would have hung up your boots, right?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yogendra ji, if you were Prime Minister today, what would you take away from this result?
So fortunately, we end on a note of consensus. I think if I was the Prime Minister, if I had put in this kind of effort, if I had these many resources, and if I had this kind of result, and if I had any tiny bit of conscience left, I would say, thank you very much. I step aside. I invite someone else to take over and do justice to the country. 10 years is a long time. And, I'm told Modi ji works very hard. I'm told he works 18 hours a day. So working for 10 years, 18 hours a day is a very tiresome exercise. I think he deserves some rest now.
Okay, we end on a note of agreement. Or what both of you would have done in his place, that may not be what happens. My own sense is we will be looking at an NDA government, but a very different NDA government. And one thing we didn't get to speak about, the first thing that will change is a change inside Parliament. The kind of agendas that could be put forth by the BJP unilaterally will no longer be possible. The BJP will, at these numbers, need the approval of its own allies, if they remain its allies, on several more contentious issues. I wanted to say thank you to them. They suddenly went away somewhere. Can we just bring them back for a moment? Let me please say thank you to them. I don't see them anymore. Yogendra ji and Yashwant.
I can see you.
Okay. You suddenly vanished. I said, गुस्से में ना चला क्या हो कोई? एकदम से आप vanish.
योगेंद्र जी मुझसे नाराज नहीं हो सकते. Don't worry. मैं छोटा हूँ, मैं शरारत करने का मेरा अधिकार है. बड़ा क्षमा बड़न को चाहिए. योगेंद्र जी मुझसे नाराज नहीं हो सकते.
चलिए. Thank you so much to both of you.